Welcome back. We're continuing with the Lego Treehouse build. We're starting today with bag number 5, which will do the central core for the middle part of the tree, and then some assemblies coming out from the tree. So we're going to start building out as well as up. Let's get right into it. There's a decent amount of parts here in bag number 5. All right, I'm going to start with a small sub-assembly. Got a couple chains. Now, these chains go on here. These chains are actually quite delicate. I've got a few where if you really reef on this connection here, it'll break at the connection point. So you have to be a little bit careful with these things. This, I think, goes like this. Obviously, this is going to be a swing of some kind. All right, here's our sub-assembly. Doesn't look like much right now. You can see some chains coming off here. This is going to mimic a branch of the tree. It's quite solid. This goes on nicely to the top of our center column. Another tree branch assembly. So this one is very similar construction, just mostly missing the chains. It's a slightly higher elevation than this one. There's something satisfying about building a Lego set vertically. That sense of scale just makes it feel all that much more exciting. I mean, building small things is great, but I like big builds. That's why a lot of my sets are enormous. All right, this third tree branch is a little more complicated. Now, this is another core assembly that's got the attachments for installing things at 45 degrees. Turntable. Now, this branch assembly goes onto this turntable here because this is going to sit at an angle. And I believe the reason for this tiny stud here is to keep it from rotating too far. Oh, it's just going to fit. So by putting it on that turntable, it allows it to sit at an angle. So these two branches here are directly 90 degrees. This one's going to be at a bit of an angle. This one's much higher than the other two. So we got our 3 main branches in our treehouse. This will be eventually where the house part of the treehouse will sit. There should be 3 little assemblies that will go on here. Another central core assembly. That's what pretty much the rest of these parts is going to be. Colorful assembly. Well, that's going to go right in the middle, like that. Okay, there's our small central core assembly. Oh, something doesn't seem right. Oh, that's because I missed a step. Right, okay. I missed putting these pieces on. Now it should, right, okay. Now it'll sit properly. There we go. All right, one last thing to build for this bag of parts is the bottom part of the swing. Little swing. Actually hangs pretty nicely. Well, that's the end of bag number 5. Constructed the 3 branches sticking out of the tree and then got our central core. It is looking really nice so far. And there are still, this is bag number 5. We have 19 bags of parts total, so there's a lot left to go. Let's just get right into bag number 6, which will put the outer coverings of this central core and a little bit more detail on the branches. First steps are just building up the side here. Same sort of thing on this side. This is very distracting. That is distracting. So I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to grab some parts from my parts bin. Grab a couple arches, and I'm going to just put these here. Okay, I just did that so that this doesn't move too much. I think that's good enough. It keeps it from swinging back and forth, and I'll remove them later. Pretty bland looking tree covering. This is kind of tricky actually, because these parts are kind of filling in the gap between the 2 main assemblies. So it's got to go over top of this assembly and the one below. It actually goes together quite well. That ties in the top and the bottom like that. Okay, so this is just adding some shape to the tree branches to make it look less like it's just sticking out 90 degrees. Gives it a nice little profile. Another transition piece. Now this one, there we go, had it upside down. Again, it works so well. This is quite involved actually. Cover everything up. Oh, cute. This is going to be a birdhouse. Now that it's sitting on the birdhouse, it looks pretty cute. Little bird in the birdhouse sitting outside. That's a nice detail. Well, now, we got this assembly here with these 3 studs. That this is a diagonal piece. So this is going to stitch in the transition between these 2 halves. Now this is going to be a bit tricky. I think it shows it actually being tucked into that pocket. So I'm going to do that. Tuck it in. Wow. That is... that's interesting construction. We have another printed brick. It's just a wood pattern. It sits at a bit of an angle, like that. Should just go right like this. Oh, it even ties into the bottom. Is that sitting? There we go. Clicks in. I really like this construction. It's quite involved. It's a little exhausting, but we're starting to get some detail sticking out from the tree so it looks less just like a solid cylinder. It's got some dimensions to it now. Another 45-degree part. And again, this looks like it gets tucked into this void and then slotted over. There we go, 45-degree piece. Oop, knocked my minifig off. Another curved branch part. Actually, it goes over here. All right, these last two sides go in similar to the first diagonal piece we put in. It gets tucked into the pocket down there and then put over top of our 45-degree studs. That went okay. This one should be the same. Huh. Well, now I'm confused. Well, that would explain a few things. Let me back up here. So this is supposed to go right here, but there's an assembly in the way, and then there's a little gap right here. So I put this assembly in the wrong spot. It should be over there. Shouldn't be that hard to pop that off. So this goes in over here. All right, now that's in there. Now this one should go right here. Oof. That was intense. I mean, learned a lot from this construction. That's the end of bag number 6. So we got the main core, the trunk of the tree, done with its 45-degree attachments, some of which were quite complex to do. Well, I wouldn't say complex, but tricky because of the way the interaction between the upper and the lower piece and the tie-ins between the two. Eesh, I made one mistake there. I'll take some close-up pictures of some of the side construction here, just because I'm not sure how much it comes up on the camera with it being pulled out back so far. But I think that's the difficult stuff all done. Next up is the 3 tree houses, which go on the branches here. Well, this is a good place to end for now. It's looking really nice. Thank you so much for watching. We'll continue the build next week.